Okay, so the review embargo for Final Fantasy XVI was lifted earlier today, earlier this morning at around 10:30-ish, somewhere around there. And the final score has been revealed on Metacritic out of 100 critic reviews, so there's a lot of gaming journalists that did play this game. This isn't no From Software bullshit where, you only have maybe 50 critics that actually played the goddamn thing, which is more understandable because Final Fantasy in general is a series that's aimed at a casual audience. So more critics were able to play the game and complete the game as a result, which is why you have more critic reviews for a game like this. And out of 100 critic reviews, the game has scored a high 8, which is around the number that I expected the game to get. Based on the demo, my experience from the demo, I was saying that the game was either going to get a low 9 or a high 8, primarily for its presentation and potentially the quality of the story, which seems to be the main thing that has been praised here. Now, some critics have claimed that the story is too bogged down, way too convoluted, and actually the best thing about the game is the combat system, which I already can tell that's a bunch of bullshit based on the demo. But I have taken some notes with this game. I've read a good number of the reviews, not all of them, obviously. The higher scores are not worth reading, although I did watch IGN and GameSpot's review. As far as the reviews that I actually took the time to sit down and read, from multiplayer IT, multiplayer.it down, I've read a good number of the reviews. I've read multiplayer.it's review, Jux Video's review, Game Informer's review, MGG's review. GamePro Germany and Eurogamer have the best reviews that I've read. I'm not sure if it was Eurogamer Germany or if it was a different... I think it was Eurogamer Poland. I can't exactly remember, but it was some review from Eurogamer that was very well written. And GamePro Germany, because they had multiple people play the game and offer their final critiques against it or on it. And as far as the worst review that I've read, it's probably VGC. They didn't put in a lot of details, so it was barely a review. It read more like a first impressions type of thing. But I have read all of the, with the exception of the enemy. I don't think I read the enemy. I've read all of the middling reviews, or the reviews that have scored the game the lowest. And I've taken some notes based on what the critics were saying, what the complaints were that were consistent from review to review. And I'm going to compare them with my own criticisms based on what I played from the demo. These are the main points that were consistent from review to review. Most critics found that the story in the game was well written, very complex, and that the characters were also three-dimensional. And Square Enix did a good job basically taking inspiration from Game of Thrones. And I felt the same based off what I've played of the demo. I guess that's a good thing to hear, that the story, it seems that this is the first Final Fantasy story within 20 years that they finally, wrote something that's actually worth a damn. They got someone who actually knew what the hell he was doing. It seems to have worked out in the long run, so that's great to hear. The soundtrack, the game carries the series tradition of having a high quality original soundtrack, so the music in the game is great, and I also agree with that criticism from my experience with the demo. And the game graphically looks strong, but the performance isn't necessarily the best. Particularly, the game will drop in frames during the icon fights and some portions of the open areas of the game. And that's why there is a day one patch to try and fix the stability issues in performance mode. The combat system is good, but as IGN and several other reviewers have review publications have stated, the combat system, while good, it's lacking. It's severely limited, mainly due to some bad design choices. The limitations of the icon system and the fact that you can only equip 2 abilities per icon and you can only have 3 equipped throughout the entire game. Obviously that's a problem. And the fact that certain abilities are locked to specific icons. Now, there is something that Square Enix implemented into the game, which is if you master a skill, you can then equip that skill to any icon. So that definitely frees up the system quite a bit. But still, this Clive character, who has a lot of attacks and different skills that have been ripped right from Devil May Cry, just with name changes, he's still missing a lot of different skills from the Devil May Cry games. Particularly, he is most similar to Nero from Devil May Cry, particularly Devil May Cry 5. And if you compare Nero from Devil May Cry 5 fully upgraded to Clive and what his arsenal consists of in Final Fantasy XVI, there's a number of options that's missing. Particularly, things like a double jump. He's missing a double jump. He's missing some varying sword combos on the ground, as well as in the air too. So he's missing, different options as far as that goes. And the game takes way too long for the player to gain certain abilities that's critical in combat. And, this is a 35+ hour game, so, that's an issue. When the games that it's taking inspiration from at the most are around 15 hours, which are games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. As far as what is bad, the thing that was consistent the most from the reviews that I read are the complaints on the side quests. The side quests are repetitive, and a lot of them are meaningless, and they don't really get interesting until some of the later ones late in the game that will flesh out some of the lore and the side characters. But for the most part, the side quests are terrible. I watched a video from IGN where this Clive character was delivering like bowls of food to random people in this hideout, and I was like, yeah, this looks like some Final Fantasy VII remake bullshit when it comes to the side quests. So not surprised there at all. Square Enix, they're just not good when it comes to side quests and that sort of thing. And they should be good at that sort of thing because, the Final Fantasy series, these are RPG games. And if you don't have good side quests, then what are you doing? There's too much spectacle, and the difficulty is just too easy. And the game doesn't truly become challenging until you get to New Game Plus. And not everyone's going to be fully satisfied with the game by the end to even want to replay the game again for a tougher challenge. So that's something else that was echoed through a number of the reviews that I've read. Many of the maps are too linear, and even with the bigger areas, there's not much exploration. You can't actually go in any of the houses or speak to any of the NPCs on that level. The game just doesn't have that level of depth as an RPG game. This is very much a character action game with linear level design, straightforward level design, and the RPG systems are just lacking. And there's an overabundance of useless shit by the end game, like crafting materials and different things like that. It seems to me that this game has some clear problems, and by no means is this game Game of the Year worthy. It'll probably get nominated, but being nominated doesn't really mean anything. You actually have to win. There's no runner-up award or anything of that nature, nor should there be. There was an unsurprising large number of people who have been fanboying the fuck out of this game and just overpraising the shit out of it, yet not having played the final version. And that doesn't surprise me either because, like I said before, as I vocalized before, with the Final Fantasy fan base and the Square Enix fan base in general, that fan base is filled with people who have very shallow tastes when it comes to entertainment, and by no means should they be taken seriously. The day that a Final Fantasy game gets fucking Game of the Year over a Zelda game, that's the day when hell will freeze over and Jesus will fall from the sky and everyone will die. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Game of the Year this year is going to be between Starfield and Zelda. I can guarantee you that. Final Fantasy XVI is not going to be in contention with Game of the Year when compared to Starfield and Zelda. As far as whether or not I'm going to cover the game based off what I've read, which is the ultimate point of this video. So I'm looking at my issues that, the issues that I had with the demo and comparing them to what I've read from the journalists who've played and covered the game. It seems that many things that I didn't like, that I saw were clear problems in the demo, were carried over in the final games. Some things didn't appear in the demo and have been implemented in some form or fashion, such as a sprint option in the final game. So, that's fine, but a lot of the things that I was noticing that were issues with the demo are issues in the final game, and the demo was just a segment of a portion of the first 2 hours of the game that was basically piecemealed and cut up to be released as a demo. So none of this surprises me whatsoever. It seems that what I said basically with my review of the demo, the one thing that this game has going for it is the story. And based on that, I'm very curious to see the story all the way through, especially with what I played in the demo. I could tell that there was some actual care and attention to detail that was taken for the storytelling. So based on that alone, I think I will cover this game. Again, I'm not really looking forward to the combat or anything. There's a number of issues that I have with the gameplay already, but if the story is good, it may make up for the weaknesses of the gameplay and the lack of RPG systems, the lack of permanent party members, the lack of an airship, different things like that. If the story is well written, it's not a thing of I'm going to forgive those other weak points with the gameplay, but it's a thing of the game may be still worth playing if the story's good, because again, Final Fantasy hasn't had a good story in almost 2 decades. Yeah, I think I will cover this game based off of what I've read. That is the core message that I want to relay to those watching. And this game does come out tomorrow on PlayStation 5, exclusively on PlayStation 5. If you have a PS5 and you're going to play it, well, feel free to relay your thoughts. But yeah, I will be playing Final Fantasy XVI.